Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to continue with my leather jacket. As you can see, it's a bit more down the road already, so if you haven't checked out part 1 and 2 yet, you should definitely do that. I have a playlist about the whole project linked in the description box down below, so it's a bit easier to find your way around that. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and watch the 2 parts before you watch this one. We're going to continue where we left off. We finished the first pocket in the jacket, so we're going to continue with the second pocket and then continuing on with the front piece itself. So I'm super excited to show you that, and let's go. Let's put these to the side for now and continue working on the side front pieces right here, as they also get a pocket. This time it is a zipped pocket, so that's a little bit different. It's, I think, a tiny bit easier, but it's a bit more scary because you're gonna cut right into the middle here. So that's what we're gonna do next. For that, you need a zipper that is 12 centimeters long. You don't have to split the zipper, so you know, like just a usual regular zipper. Metal one, preferably, because it's just, you know, it just fits the theme a bit better, I guess. And a color that matches, and then you should be good. Just make sure that it is the exact 12 centimeters. It's just so much easier if it measures that. Otherwise, you're gonna have to shorten the zipper, or this stopper down here is going to be visible just at the very bottom. If you don't have that, you just would have to like sew over these metal teeth, which is not the greatest, so just avoid doing that. I mean, I've done it before plenty of times. It works, but you'd rather avoid it. And if you have a zipper that measures exactly your 12 centimeters, you're going to avoid it, and that's what we want. You're gonna find the already prepared zipped pocket drawn onto the piece. And what I did was to just hole punch the corners that I need to transfer onto my leather. So that's what I'm gonna do now. The width of this is the width of your zipper, and then you just need a triangle that you'll cut out of this rectangle that we're about to do. My zipper, I'm going to do 1 centimeter width. So I'm just going to draw a parallel line to this seam over here that's measuring 12 centimeters, and then just transferring the zipped pocket onto my leather. I'm also going to draw in the center line here, which is the line that we're going to cut this open. And this is what it should end up looking like. Now we can go ahead and just cut open our piece here, making sure to only cut from one triangle to the other. And I'm going to do the rest with my scissors, as the rotary cutter is never exact. And now this is open like that. And this is gonna get put on the inside. What I like to do for that is go on the right side and grab the seam allowance. Since the seam allowance is not 1 centimeter, it's more like 5 millimeters, you need to set in the seam allowance of your leather piece by 5 millimeters. They're not ending at the same, like the edges are 5 millimeters apart. And then this corner right here, this is going to end right above the metal stopper 5 millimeters in. So the metal stopper sits right underneath here, and that's where I want the upper corner to sit. And I'm gonna fix it in place with a clip. And then I'm just going to work my way down to this other corner here. And this other corner, you might need to switch between open and closed of the zipper. This corner needs to sit right where the lower stopper here ends, also 5 millimeters in, so right here. And now this should just fit together perfectly. The zipper is a tiny bit smaller, or like shorter. You'd rather want to have the leather a bit more space than the zipper, otherwise the zipper will bubble up and it's just not gonna look nice. And we can go ahead and sew this in from this point, like right at the corner here, on top of that drawn line, right to the other corner up here. And that is what it looks like. And we can do exactly the same on the other side. Now, this is very important to get the corners parallel to the other side. Otherwise, this will look weird, not straight. There's going to be bubbling. So be very, very careful while doing that. You might also want to use some glue just to keep it in place. So just a small drop on the leather to keep the seam allowance in place here and parallel to the positioning on the other side, you see? And this is just going to ensure that this is not going to move at all. You want to have as little glue as possible and try to be super, super careful by just brushing it onto the corner there and then putting it right here, parallel to the other side, and then also using a clip to hold it in place. As you can see now here, once this corner is also turned, this will make a really nice corner there. And now we continue doing the same on the upper side. You want to do that while the zipper is closed. And then once you have the right side up, you can see if that placement looks good or if you need to move it a tiny bit, which I will be doing here. So now I can just clip this in place here too, and then I can sew here along this line as well from corner to corner. And this is what that came out as. So now we can fold over the upper and lower edge and also get this triangle in place. I will be using glue for that again, and I will be painting that onto the triangle here and then push it onto the zipper band and fix it in place. And then it makes this really nice corner. Let's do the same on the lower edge, and we're gonna leave it to dry. While doing that, we can already prepare the longer sides by just rolling the seam allowances down to the same distance on both sides. So you want both sides to be parallel. And as I had 1 centimeter calculated for the zipper width, this is exactly the space that I have to consider now. So this is 1 centimeter apart here. And now we can go ahead and sew the pockets on it. So the pockets are going to go this way towards the center front or the dividing seam right here. And there are 2 different pocket pieces, one bigger than the other, called upper and lower zipper pockets. The name says it all. This is how they lay. The upper is the smaller one, and then the lower one that sits closer to the body is the bigger one, because they just have to go from this side to the other to catch the zipper. That is what we're going to start with the bigger one. So we're going to go to the wrong side and just place the pocket edge to edge with the zipper band, making sure that there is no zipper or like no metal pieces sticking out. And we can just, since this is fabric, we can use pins to pin the pocket in place. And then we're just going to sew this right here, like so. And now we can just place the smaller of the 2 pockets right here, which goes also right sides together with the zipper band, making sure that it sits at the same height as the pocket below that. We can control that in just a second. I'm just going to pin it in place, and then we can flip it to the side where it will sit. And as you can see, they match up pretty much perfectly if it lays straight. And I can go ahead and also sew in this side right here. Now we can go ahead and close the pocket. So I'm laying everything out flat where it's supposed to go, and then however it falls, it really doesn't matter if it fits perfectly on top of each other. Obviously, the better it fits, the neater you worked. But as you see here, it also doesn't perfectly fit on top. That's fine. I'm just pinning it now together, and then I can go around with my normal machine and just stitch these pockets together. All stitched together now, all looking good. The color of the thread doesn't matter, won't be visible once the jacket is done. And we can go ahead and glue the seam allowance onto the outer piece. Let's put a little bit up here And now you want to have the same distance all around everywhere. And that's it already for the pocket. We're going to add top stitches now. The top stitches you have to do in 2 rounds because we have the pocket underneath. So you will do a C basically, the one side first, without back tacking. Just clip the upper thread to about 2 centimeters, then pull on the bobbin thread so you can pull through the upper thread to the wrong side, and then put the pockets out of the way, and then you can sew this single line right there without back tacking again. And then since we're working with synthetic threads, we can just melt the edges. That's like a small little tip for leatherworks, as you don't really want to have like back tacks and stuff like that there. So let's do that. So I'm going to show you quickly right here. I cut the upper threads to a short length, and now I can go to the bobbin thread and pull on it. And as you can see, it pulls a loop out, and that is the upper thread. And then to secure everything up here, since I am using synthetic threads, I can just melt them down just like that. And then you have like this glob here, which is totally going to be covered. Just be careful. This will be hot, obviously, since you melted it, so don't burn yourself. And that's it. That is the finished zipped pocket in the front. So to continue on, I quickly grabbed my other piece that I already prepared because we're going to talk about zippers. Since we have a overlap that's going to reach until here, or like the other side, this is going to reach until here, we have to think about the zipper for the front. And obviously this is going to sit here because we have a belt piece here still. Zipper is to be put on this corner here. So this is, as I said, the left piece, the one that sits on your left. And this one is the one that sits on your right. However you want to close the jacket, either over on the left side of your body or on the right side of your body, you have to think about the placement of the zipper. I want to close mine on the right side of my body. So here, on this piece right here, in the dividing seam, plus the belt piece down here, I want to put my zipper in. And then on the other side here, so not on the dividing line, but on the overlap line, I need to put the corresponding other side of the zipper in, right here and then right here. It's pretty easy to understand once you lay the pieces in front of you, but you have to think about that before closing the dividing seam in the front piece. I already did that to prepare and to work a bit ahead of schedule, so don't worry about that. We're gonna talk about all of that on this side here. I have my zipper right here, which is also, I think, almost the perfect length. Yeah, I have to shorten it a tiny bit. As you can see, it needs to reach up until here, and it's just a little bit too long. So we're gonna do that also, and I'm gonna show you how I do that because it's pretty neat to know this technique. And before putting anything in, let's put the belt piece down here. That is the side front hem that also has interfacing on, and it should fit right here. So we're just gonna put right sides together, stitch this, and I did not put any top stitching onto this seam. As you can see right here, no top stitching, because I want to finish the whole belt piece in order to top stitch all around once, and then another time for the facing once the facing is up, and we can do it on the lower edge as well. So just close this and also open the seam up, glue it down, like prepare the seam later for stitching, but don't stitch yet. Also, by the way, you can do exactly the same for the other front piece here. There's also the front hem. You also want to put that on there, right sides together, gluing the seam allowance apart and preparing it for stitching later. Okay, so now we can go ahead and measure the zipper. There are the notches right here where the zipper ends, like right there, same height over here. And that we can simply measure all the way down to 1 centimeter higher than the end of our pattern piece down here, as I have seam allowance. So that makes a zipper of 25 centimeters. So we have to shorten this by 5 centimeters. And I'm just measuring from the bottom, as this is a zipper that can be divided, obviously, since this is a jacket zipper. I'm just putting needles in here to mark until where I want to shorten this zipper. I'm going to open it up and we can get to shortening it. You need pliers for that, and you're gonna try to get this stopper up here loose. So this can be a bit tricky, which it definitely was for this one. I have like zippers where it goes super easy, and then others where you have to like fiddle your way around it, but whatever. Once you have the stopper removed, you also need to remove about 1.5 centimeters of the zipper teeth in order to have like a little bit of seam allowance on top, and then to be able to put the stopper just over top there. And basically you're just gonna put it over this like lip that the zipper has, and then just tighten it with your pliers, and then you can cut off the upper part of the zipper that is not needed. I like to have like about 1.5 centimeter seam allowance on top there. So now that I have my zipper shortened, I'm just going to place my zipper with the stopper just below the notch here, right sides together. And I'm probably, just to be super sure that everything fits together well, I'm probably just going to use a small amount of glue to fix the zipper in place. Just a few drops, and just put it like right here, all the way down just at 1 centimeter seam allowance, which is, you know, the stitching line here. This band is almost like a tiny bit longer than 1 centimeter, so we're gonna stitch it right next to the teeth here, because now this also gets sandwiched on top. And since the zipper is now glued in place, we can first of all fold the band over to this side, and then just put here notch on top of notch, clip this in place, making sure that these two seams also fit together right on top of each other, matching up the hem here. And now I can go ahead and sew this at 1 centimeter. Since the seam goes further up here, we're going to do that in one go, or like more or less in one go. I'm going to show you why. From the shoulder, we can just clip it down all the way towards the pocket. And as you can see here, the pocket overlaps. So we're going to have to stop right before the lower pocket here starts. So we're just going to sew like right on top of the pocket here up until the other pocket starts. So don't worry if you sew over the pocket itself and like closing it up here. It really doesn't matter. I tried it out with the other side. You can't really feel that when you open the pocket, like when you use the pocket, it's not a big deal. So I'm just going to sew right until here where this pocket starts, and then I'm going to stop, or like back tag, I guess, and then fold this over and continue sewing down here all the way, and then closing the front dividing seam with the zipper in place here. That is what it looks like. These all match up really nicely. This here matches up really nicely as well. And now we can go ahead and finish the inside here, like open the seam up. We're gonna have to cut into the seam allowance here, the seam allowance of the front piece, as that needs to be rolled open like that. And then here we're gonna continue with the seam allowance facing the side piece. Underneath the pocket, we're gonna cut into the seam allowance again and continue opening up the seam. And we're gonna do that right until the zipper, because at the zipper we have to decide to which side the zipper will lay. So obviously we want the zipper teeth to lay this way. So we're going to open this up here, but put the zipper seam allowance to the side seam this way, and the other side gets pushed over. And right here, there is a lot of seam allowance. We probably need the hammer to just, you know, press the seam allowance as much as possible down, and it already lays nicely and looks good. Now we can glue just like that, and then I'm going to just press the seams open. With all of this prepared, now we can go ahead and do the top stitching for the dividing seam here. And I'm just going to show you what I did on the other side. So I just did a 5mm top stitch right and left of the seam. Under the pocket flap, I let it end into the stitch here. And then underneath the pocket flap, I started right under the piping. All of that is covered up anyways, but I just wanted to show you. And I'm going to do that on both sides. And now I also figured it would be a great time to add the push buttons here in the upper pockets. You can use whatever set of push buttons you like. You can honestly use whatever you want to close this pocket, but if you use push buttons, now is the time to do so, because otherwise you're not going to be able to reach in that easily anymore. So that's just something that I wanted to, you know, point out. So now that the zipper is in and the top stitching is in, we can go ahead and just put the other side onto the overlap of the left piece. This is also going to get put right sides together. One thing that I like to do before we just put the zipper in is to just have some measuring points. So I'm just going to zip this up, and then I want to have a needle that marks the dividing line here, and also a needle that marks the notch up there. So now I can separate the zipper again, and now I have some points to orientate myself at. So putting right sides together with the needle right on top of that dividing seam here, and just check this measures up with that. That's great. And then down here also looks good. So I'm going to do exactly the same as with the other side. Just carefully dot a few glue points. So like that. Then I can also sew this on. So once this is turned over, it has the zipper right there. And now I can go ahead and also just prepare the seam. I'm not gonna top stitch it yet because we need the facing on it first. So I'm just gonna roll it in place. And it already looks really, really nice. So now when I put these side to side, I can already go ahead and close this and check if everything matches up nicely, which it does, which I'm really happy about. Okay, cool. And that's it already for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. We're going to continue with the leather jacket in 1 week's time. So if you're interested in knowing when I upload, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below and ring the bell so you'll get notified when I post next. I post on Sunday, so you can keep an eye out for that. And in the meantime, and if you're also interested in, you know, short notice, spontaneous updates of my life and so on and so forth, go ahead and check out my Instagram. By the time you're seeing that, I actually moved to Italy for 1 month, so if you're interested in all of the daily updates, I guess, go ahead and give me a follow on my Instagram, as I will be posting loads probably. And I'm super excited. I hope all went well with the drive there and so on and so forth. The handle is exactly the same as here on my YouTube, as well as on all of my other social media, Instagram, Pinterest, and of course Etsy. The most direct way to support me and keep videos just like this one coming is checking out my Etsy store, and maybe you're gonna find a pattern or two that you're interested in. Yeah, until then, thank you so much for watching, and we're gonna see each other next Sunday. Bye guys!